Hey, what's going on? My name is Coach Lee Hopkins. My pronouns are he, him, his, and you're listening to the Patterns of Possibility podcast. This is a podcast dedicated to helping you replace harmful patterns with new possibilities. In each episode, we'll explore topics that inspire you to be yourself, live your truth, and make lasting connections. In this episode, we're going to talk about being the therapist friend. That person who is always there for you to listen to you. I'm going to tell you why. It's not a great place to be. Like, having those kind of friends aren't the best. And you may dismiss this. You'd be like, oh, no, it's the best. You're supposed to have friends that support you and all that stuff. But I'm going to tell you how the therapist friend takes it to the extreme and why you do not want to be the therapist friend and you do not want therapist friends. Are you ready? Let's go. All right. So what is a therapist friend in the first place? You know, the therapist friend is that person who really wants to help you. Sounds terrible, right? But essentially, they are the person who does all of the listening. I know, it sounds awful, right? They do all of the listening, and they're there for you through thick and thin, everything that you're going through. You can call them at 2 o'clock in the morning, at 4 o'clock in the morning. You can call them in the middle of their work and they will pick up the phone and they will support you. It's awful. It's awful. Well, I mean, the things that I described don't sound particularly awful, right? But they are. They are missing something that really make a connection with a friendship. There's a dynamic here that everybody says that they want, but in actuality, in practice, it's a really painful and disconnecting dynamic. If you are the therapist friend, if you are that person who prides themselves on being there to support their friends through thick and thin, then it's important for you to know why this is and how it's impacting your relationship. Because a lot of people, when I talk about being the therapist friend, it really means that you don't show any of who you are. If you've ever seen Encanto, I think Marisa was the really strong one, but they never showed how they really felt about things. They were absolutely strong, and people had all kinds of expectations for them. They could lift rocks and go chase after goats and bring them back to the farm and do all those things and never ever ask for help. But underneath, they were breaking. They were breaking inside. Underneath, they were very distraught, and they felt like they couldn't share with anybody because the weight of the world was on their shoulders. But listen, this is what makes it not a healthy dynamic when you become the therapist friend or you are associated with someone who is the therapist friend. You don't really see each other as equals. This therapist friend, who you are, you the therapist friend, you feel like you cannot share with the person you're always taking care of. You believe that if you open up and if you're honest with them, it's going to hurt your relationship, or that they're not capable of it, or you're just so understanding that they just can't hold space for you. And what they do is, it's a natural dynamic that will happen, is that they will continue to dump their drama and their traumas on top of you. And you'll pick them up, you'll carry them, you'll do things to your own detriment. You'll answer the phone at 2 o'clock in the morning. You'll leave your house at 4 o'clock in the morning to go save them from a situation. You'll let them call you in the middle of the day and pick up. You'll let them tell you about all the things that are happening in your life, in their life, while ignoring the things that are happening in your life, while ignoring the triumphs, your own sadness, your own fears, your own anger. You ignore all of that. You keep it all to yourself, and there is none to share with that person. You create this dynamic that is just about you serving and giving and serving and giving. And I'm telling you, and you've heard this before, you cannot pour from an empty cup. This overflow, there is no overflow. You're being drained. And we call this a friendship. And I'm speaking from my own personal experience as I often do, as I talk about how I've done this too. And I've looked specifically for people who weren't doing well. You might too, being the therapist friend. Hey, we need to get those patients. We need to get people who will see value in what we do. They'll see value in the fact that we hold space for them. They'll see value in us because we don't have any other value. That's what we believe. That's what I believed, being a therapist friend, looking for people, looking for patients, people to take care of, people's feelings to hold on to while ignoring my own feelings. It's a distraction, first of all, from you having intention about learning about who you are, like expressing your own feelings. And it creates a dynamic, as I said before, that you do not become peers. You're not a peer with this person because you're not sharing how you really feel. You're just a therapist who's taking care of this patient that you have. And you call it a friendship. And see, what happens is over time, you have life experiences and you do feel things. You're going to feel angry. You're going to feel sad. You're going to feel joyful. You're going to feel fear. You feel all these things and you're going to want to share them with somebody. And you look to your friend who is your patient now, who is not capable of holding space for you, and expect them to listen to you. And then you're upset because they can't. They're not interested. That's not the role that you had set up. That's not the role that you both agreed upon. You agreed that they would come and sit into your office, pour all the stuff that they have going on in their life on your lap, and you would take it. How dare you switch that up? They're going to look at you funny. How dare you switch that up? They're going to be angry. You did what? No, we can't do that. I can't care about you. I've got all this stuff. I thought you understood that I've got too much going on right now. Year after year, you've been understanding of me, and now today you don't? Now today you want to bring your stuff to me? This is not how this works. You think about this as a patient-therapist relationship. You go to a therapist and you pay them for the emotional labor that they do, and they do not reveal what's going on in their life. You don't know them. You don't know them. You pay them for the service. And that's what your friendship is if you are the therapist's friend. If you are the therapist's friend, if you are the one who is taking all this information and holding on to it and holding space for your patient, they expect that from you and nothing else. They're not interested in you as a person. But you want to be known. That's what a friendship is. You want to be connected with your peers. You want people to celebrate your joys and help you fight your fears. And that patient is not capable. They're not able. They're not interested in doing so. They're not there for that. So about changing this dynamic, because it's hard. Once you get into this dynamic, it's kind of hard to change it. What's really missing from the therapist friend and creating those kind of relationships is the vulnerability from the person who is behaving as the therapist. They dishonor, or they disregard, or they disrespect, or they're not tuned in to who they are and how they feel about things. They keep pushing it aside. It's a distraction from learning more about yourself because you're not asking yourself this question. And if you wanted to break out of this therapist mindset, it's like, well, why do I believe that all I can do is hold space for other people? Why won't I share my feelings with others? Ask yourself some of those questions and try to figure those pieces out. It's scary. I know for me, it was scary to be able to open up. I knew that I wanted friends. I knew that I wanted real connection, but I didn't know how. I thought that if I wanted to be a friend, or if I wanted to have friends, I had to be a friend. And this was being a friend. But it's not. It's not. So therapist friend, we need some more vulnerability from you. If you're the one who's constantly listening, picking up the phone at 2 o'clock in the morning, running to your friend's aid or whatever else is happening in their life, you're always there to put out a fire. You really got to think about you. What's so important about doing that? Why is it so important to you that you do that for this person? What don't you want to share with other people? What are you afraid of when you share that with other people? This is going to help you be less of a therapist friend and more of a real friend. Hey, Patterns of Possibility fam. If you'd like a little more guidance and hands-on support, then I've got great news. You can hire me as your own personal coach. Go to patternsofpossibility.com/coaching to apply for individual or group coaching. In this 12-week program, I'm going to help you make the meaningful connections that you deserve. After this coaching program, I promise you'll be able to do 3 things. 1, you'll be able to clearly identify who belongs in your tribe and who doesn't. Say goodbye to those people who are wishy-washy, you're unsure of. No, you will know for certain whether or not they deserve to be in the same space with you. And second, you are going to know that your thoughts and feelings are valid and worth expressing. So if you do have feelings about your friends not holding up boundaries or not holding up space for you or not meeting your needs, then you are not going to shy away from telling them. You will be able to communicate your boundaries in a clear, concise manner and advocate for yourself in your relationships. And finally, you are going to learn how to start and stop conversations with strangers and steer them towards topics that are interesting and important to you. I don't know about you, but I don't have weeks, months, years to discover whether or not me and my new friend have compatible values. If you know what you're looking for, you can discover if you're compatible in just a few conversations. If all this sounds good to you and you're ready to make those meaningful connections, go to patternsofpossibility.com/coaching to find out more information. Again, go to patternsofpossibility.com/coaching to find out more information. I look forward to working with you. Now it's time for your listener letters. If you have burning questions about your friendships and your platonic relationships with your coworkers and so forth, let me know. Write me at patternsofpossibility@gmail.com, and I might just read your letter out loud. All right, here's one. Friend keeps bringing her depression, but won't listen to any advice. My friend, who is also my roommate, constantly brings up the fact that she's depressed. She'll often casually throw it in the conversation no matter what we're talking about. She does this in group settings and one-on-one. If there's a moment of silence in the chat, she'll just go on and say, yeah, I'm awfully depressed. The thing is that she will never take any advice from the people around her. They've tried to suggest a couple of things, and she'll tell me she knows how to deal with her depression and she doesn't need any advice. I don't really know what response she wants when she brings it up, but I'm not going to feed into it. And I tell her how awful her life is, because that would just lead to every conversation being negative. She spends all of her free time on TikTok, Snapchat, and Instagram. I've suggested that she get a hobby, but she won't listen to any of my advice. I know I'm not qualified to give advice, but she brings it up in most conversations, and I don't know how to respond anymore. Any advice, please? Yep, I got some. Thanks for your question. This one actually comes from Reddit. I grabbed it from the friendship advice, but I still want to hear your own questions. I'd love to hear your thoughts about what's happening in your life. Be happy to answer them. But anyway, of course, change your name, make it so you're anonymous. I don't want to be putting your stuff out there. But anyway, this person who constantly tells you about stuff is treating you like less than the therapist friend, because come on, like, you would at least take advice from your therapist. I think it's because, you pay them and you put time and energy and effort into making that money that you pay them. So there's value in paying them, so there in turn would be value in the words that they say back to you, right? And your roommate is just not using your words they don't see your words as valuable. They don't see your time, your energy, anything as valuable. And we just run into people like that. And some of us, but you're not one of these people, but some of us are like, yeah, I just like to give. I mean, I'm doing my best. I mean, they're in a bad situation. They're always depressed. Let me help them out. If you're a therapist friend, you might sound something like that. You're just constantly giving and giving and giving to this person, to other people. And I want to definitely caution you against that, because they don't really see you. And this is a really great example of how your roommate doesn't really see you, appreciate you, understand your feelings at all. It's just all about them and their feelings. So what do you want to do in this situation? What kind of relationship do you want to have? That's the key question that we start asking ourselves. If you want to get out of this place, what do we want from these people? How do we want them to behave? And what do they need to know for them to behave the way I want them to behave? Because that's really what we're looking for in people. We want them to do things that we want them to do. Like as a friend, I want my friend to listen to me. I want them to be supportive of me. I want them to know when I say no, I mean stop. Right? Those are the behaviors, those are the actions that you're looking for. Like, stop bringing up this depression stuff. It's making me feel some kind of way. I don't feel good about this. And you want to let them know that, but they're not listening to you. That's the thing. They're not listening. They're not picking up what you put down. And it's a bit frustrating for you. And you could see, like, they're doing all these things to cause the behaviors. I mean, they're doing all these things to cause these feelings of depression. Like, you're not heartless in the sense that you're offering the best advice that you possibly can. So you're putting yourself out there, but they're just not listening. So here we are. Any advice? Any advice? I've started to talk about, what do you want from them? What is it that you want from them? And what are you willing to do if you don't get what you want from them? That sounds a bit nefarious. What are you willing to do if you don't get what you want from them? Ha ha. Yeah. It might seem like that. If you're really concerned about how they feel over how you feel about the interactions, then it may feel a bit nefarious. But your friend is a housemate. That makes it a bit difficult. But we want to just let them go, to just cut them off and stuff like that. But you have to be able to understand what your steps are going to be when dealing with these kind of people. And when I say these kind of people, I mean this friend or this close connection or this somebody who lives near you or is in your space quite often, who does things that don't feel good to you. And when you tell them they don't feel good, they ignore it. Those people who disregard how you feel, expecting for their feelings to be heard. So the first thing I like to do is tell people, hey, this is the behavior that you have and I don't like it. Or this is the behavior that you have and this is how it's impacting me. What we do when we do that, we share, it's a gift. We say it's a gift to somebody. Like, this is a gift to you. My feelings about my experience with you is a gift, always. And you start thinking about that, you feel more inclined to share. You feel more inclined to give the gift of understanding how you feel. And you watch how they respond to this gift that you give them. Do they respond in a way that feels good, that you feel like your gift is appreciated, accepted? Does it feel comfortable to you when they receive your gift? How did they treat it? And based on what you observe about them treating your gift a certain way, you either move them close or you make your action plan to push them away. So this is where I am. This is where we are in this situation. You've shared how you feel and they are not treating it well. You're paying attention. They're not treating it well. So what are you going to do? What are you going to do? A couple of things that I recommend is moving out. I'm so extreme. I know, that's me. I'm just hopping up to the extreme. So that's like the extreme thing. But there's something that you can do before you get to that. But that's like the ultimate piece. Like, somebody has to, we can't share physical space together because it's on this level where you are just driving me crazy. You don't respect me and I'm feeling it all the time. It doesn't feel good to be in the space. But making a point not to talk to them is good. Is as much as you can do in the physical space, right? Look, I'm not going to talk to you every time you bring up this depression stuff. Goodbye. I'm not answering your text messages. I'm going to stay in my room, stuff like that, until you can create further space. But the objective or the answer, I think, is to create space between you and this feeling, or this person that continuously invokes this feeling in you. and instead of taking care of it, instead of saying, oh, I understand you have so much troubles and so many problems and things like that, is eventually, if you're the therapist friend, eventually you're going to want to share your feelings, and you're going to wind up in a dynamic like this. You're going to see that they're not interested or not capable of holding space for you. You've always been the person who they've been able to talk to you about their depression, about their woes, about their sorrows, and things like that. So that's what I would recommend to you. Hey, thank you so much for listening. If you like this podcast, share with someone who you think could benefit from this information, and follow me on social media. You can find me at Patterns of Possibility on all social media, and I go live on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time. You can catch me and learn more about these social connections and interact with other people who are looking for the meaningful connections, who share the same kind of stories, and be in community. And don't forget to sign up for my newsletter at patternsofpossibility.com, where you will get actionable steps delivered to your mailbox every week. Also, let me know what you think of this new theme music. Thanks again for listening. Until next time, take care.